Hi guys. One could argue that the most important thing for the Maasais, for the culture, for the life, is the animals, especially the cows, but also the goats and sheep, of course. And this is actually the viewpoint of most Maasais I've been with, and some Burus. And it's very easy to see this because from the animals, from the cows, especially the cows, is so important. The cows is connected to the food source, traditional food source that is mostly milk from cows. It's connected to meat, of course, but most of all ceremonial meat from cows and bulls. Wedding, you can't marry without the cows, and so on. You're not really considered actually a Maasai without the cows. It is the life. And of course, the sheep and the goats, they provide a lot of meat, and that will give now the rest of most of the nutritional value that a Maasai would get from the traditional life. Not really today. Today it's more maize is the stable food, but traditionally it was milk, meat, blood. However, from what I've seen, there is something deeper that is more of a cornerstone to the Maasai culture than actually the animals. And it hasn't been put in the focus as I would have liked, because it is really, really important. And it is the foundation actually for the animals to be even exist and be there and be useful. So all around where I've traveled, all the Maasai Samburs I've stayed with, it's the animals that's really important. When there's a drought, you have to get back animals, because animals is what brings life. But what I see is even more important, and I do myself have the intention to live. Now I've settled in Samburu. That is where I will live in the future, and I also like to bring in traditional values and virtues and culture in my life. Be able to eat traditional food and the very special milks from the Maasai and the meats, and being able to consume honey and herbs and all these things. And from my viewpoint, from my side of things, it doesn't have to be the truth. But really what I've researched and what I see is that the cows have been taken too much of a focus, but it's not really the foundation. What is the foundation for the life in these areas? These areas where the Maasai live is generally dry to semi-dry to even slight desert, and mostly savanna, but also forested savanna and smaller forested areas. And it's really what I see is bringing life and sustainability for the animals and for the Maasai, and foundations for the culture and life is the trees. And the trees have a much bigger importance than the cows and the sheep and the goats. I will have cows and goats, especially cows and goats, because I see they mix well together. And I will do that, and I want to have a lot of them, and I want them to produce well for meat and for milk. But it's not my priority. My priority is something else, and it's the trees, because I see the foundation for having a sustained life for the animals is the trees. Even utilization of the meat and the milk, you need the trees. You need specific species. If you wanted to do it in the traditional way, you need specific species. So really, for me, the foundation is really the trees. And for many reasons. So yes, the cows and the sheep and the goat, they are traditionally the income, the business, I would say, and the food source. But really, where I will, and I will wish others to put focus is the trees. Because the trees in the traditional life, if you don't have trees, you cannot build a house. The foundation of the house is made out of sticks. It's made out of branches of trees. And specific trees, not any tree, specific tree. The one that will not be eaten by termites. The one that will last. The fencing around the compound to keep the animals safe is branches from trees. That's the traditional way. So to have a home, to be able to settle, you need to have the trees. And you can only have cows if you have a protective homestead. You cannot just live in the bush and have the cows. The cows will run away in the night. They will be eaten by wild animals. So foundation is trees. For preparing the food for the animals, you need trees. You need in the culture they use firewood to cook, especially with the meat, to be able to eat meat. Some parts they can eat raw, yes. They've been eating blood raw. They've been eating kidney raw. They've been eating fat raw. They've been eating bone marrow raw, yes. But to be able to prepare the whole animal, you need firewood, you need a fireplace, you need trees. To create the fire, you need trees. It's a specific, traditionally, there is a stick, a thin stick towards a small stick that they grind to each other like this to create the starting point of the fire. And this is a specific tree called El Taracuy, specifically in the Maasai. So you need trees, foundation trees. In the culture of the Maasai, to eat meat on its own, even if it's cooked, you fry it, boil it, whatever, is not considered a good thing. To eat meat and to eat a lot of meat, you're supposed to take soup. You're supposed to boil soup from the head or from the bones, and you mix it with herbs from trees, roots, bark, that is boiled and then mixed. And those chemical reaction is what makes now the Maasai to be able to live on a very high meat diet, according to themselves. That's why they've been able to stay in the bush, having warrior camps, trainings, to learn about, to build their bodies, and stay, yes, for even 3 months in the bush with other warriors, yes, eating meat and building strength. Soup of the head and the bones mixed with herbs. If a Maasai in the traditional life would eat meat and would not be able to get the soup and the herbs, it would not be seen as healthy. Maybe today in the modern world where someone can go to a town and eat meat, they take it with ugali, and that's a new way of life. But in the traditional one, to eat meat without the herbs, no, it's not recommended. It's even it's not good. It's bad. For even consuming of milk, to live on fresh milk alone is very, very difficult. It creates problems, constipation in the stomach. The digestive, the stool becomes too hard, you can't get it out. You might not really even feel like eating too much. So the Maasai, how they eat, being able to eat a lot of milk, is that they ferment the milk for several days, for about 4 days. And that fermentation makes now digest the milk to be so smooth and so nice, and you can eat lots of milk, and they've been able to stay on like 90% milk diet. 90% of their proteins, carbohydrates, fats, whatever, energy comes from there. And to ferment that milk, they do it in a calabash, and they clean that calabash, and they put the soot, the charcoal, from specific trees. And if they don't have that, they'll not get good fermented milk. And if you don't have good fermented milk, you can't really live on the milk diet. So in everything in the culture, everything, the trees are there, and specific trees. So yes, cows, sheep, goats, very important. But more important so is the trees. It is the foundation. For them to live healthily, it is about the herbs. There are so many tropical diseases in these areas, especially malaria. You have so many different stomach infections, amoeba, typhoid, and others. Specific trees around the bush where the Maasai live clear these diseases like they are nothing. They are nothing. Malaria is nothing when you have those trees. The trees around the Maasai and specific herbs from those trees, roots and barks of medicinal, very specific trees, have even shown beneficial to be beneficial towards a lot of different westernized modern diseases, like that the Maasai never really expected, like high blood pressure, heart diseases, diabetes, cancer, even hard infectious diseases like hepatitis and HIV. There are a lot of herbal medicine that are really interesting and powerful and important for a healthy life. And it has been in a normal thing in the Maasai life. Even for the weapons, for them to be able to protect themselves. For the spears, there's part of the spear is wood. The clubs, the sticks, the throwing rongus, the the bow and arrow, trees, specific trees, not any tree, specific trees for specific things. And you find that the Maasai culture has many trees that is really, really, really important to the culture. The most important that I've found is around 50. But I would say there is up to around 200 that is quite huge importance in the main because in every area the kind of trees that grow is slightly different. So the moment you get increased elevation, you come to mountainside, so the land gets high from the ocean, the climate change, and it support other species of trees, and those species of trees have unique properties. So I'd say trees, and I will promote trees. I will study more about them. I will learn more about them. I will be planting a lot about them, and I really, really emphasize for any Maasai, any Samburu, any Canaan, I would say, anyone in the world, I would say trees are really important, and there are a lot we have to learn about it. And according to myself, when you know a specific use of the tree, you get more interested to plant that tree and to have that tree and to take care of that tree, because you know it might be beneficial sometime in the future for a certain situation. So many herbs, a lot of trees for sticks, building houses, for preparing the foods, herbs for even being able to eat food well, like L-chlority, that is helpful for digestion, even ulwai, the roots of ulwai, even Oltepesi. So there are many very important trees. It's very specific trees, and more so going back to even the animals now and sustainability of the animals in the areas where the Maasai lives. So dry areas, semi-dry areas, and they only get rain for certain periods of the year, and between that time there's always droughts, 2 times a year, always droughts. Sometimes they are more, sometimes they are less. Like even this year, my friends in Kajiado, he didn't experience any rain for the last 1 year, so it's a 1-year drought. That's extreme. That's not normally how it happens, but it happens sometimes. So you have every year you have droughts. Every 5 years you have a bigger drought, and every 10 years you have a bigger drought than the 5-year drought, and then you have the 5-year drought again, and then the 10-year drought is bigger. So you have these droughts, and then every 100 years you might have an extreme drought. So there is this pattern of droughts. And the most important thing that has been available as a resource to conquer the droughts, to make sure that animals survive when the grass is gone and it's dry and there's not enough of water, there's not enough nutrition. Even if the grass was there in plenty, it had dry up and it might not have the nutritional content for the animals. Here, the trees has been the key element to keeping the animals healthy, to making them to survive, to migrate the cows, maybe even to a highland place like the Mau forest. where they can be able to cut down some trees or feed from the vegetation of the forest. They cut them, so not the trees at all, not a whole tree. They used to cut branches of the trees, and very specific trees. Like for the cows, they used to take, if you able to have the tree called lorien, or in Samburu it's called ngerioi. It's the African olive. So that tree, when the cows eat the leaves of that tree during the drought, it will remain strong. It's like it has some nutritional content in it that makes the cow to be strong. Even if it hasn't eaten enough in energy wise, it will have the nutritional value to keep going during the droughts. So trees, and specific trees. And as I go back, the sadness where I've seen it is emphasizing on planting trees has not been enough. And there's been protection of the trees, but some areas where trees have been protected has been taken from the Maasai people by the government, and it happens. Other areas have been sold to other groups of people. Other areas have been cut. Other areas, like in Kajiado, there's been, for the last 5-10 years, there's been a lot of struggle for people to get food for the Maasai. So a lot of families have decided to cut the trees on their land and sell it as charcoal. And it might be one of the reasons, could be, it is believed by quite some, that they didn't have enough rain, had less rain this time, and they are getting less and less and less rain every time. It's because of cutting of the trees. So it's a sad sign that something that I've seen all around where I've gone is really the lack of forgetting of the respect of the trees, because in the culture, if you go deep in the culture, the trees was holy. You can't just cut a tree and make charcoal and sell it for money. It was something considered really, really, really bad. And now poverty is changing a lot of things. Poverty is changing a lot of things. Yeah. So there is, everywhere I've gone, there is actually, you could believe quite strongly, I could see quite strongly the connection between trees and rain. Without the rain, there's no grass, there's no food for the animals. So you see, I'm starting to see the full picture, how enormously important these trees are actually been for the Maasai. So many places I've gone, they say, okay, 20 years ago there was a big forest down there, and we used to have a lot of rain. And then they cut the forest, we don't have rain now. The rain we have now is like that's completely changed the environmental, like the climate zone of that place, from being a quite semi-humid, semi-arid to semi-arid. There are other areas where I've interviewed elders, and they say, look at this place. When I was a kid, this could be like a long time ago, 50, 60 years ago, I used to see, we had long grass, we used to see zebras here, there was giraffe, elephants, they were a big problem. And then now you can just see open soil. Yeah. So this is something that I really want to talk more about. It is important. And now I've talked a lot about the problems and the connection with the culture, but there is also, because of this is an opportunity, and opportunities now. So there's been too little emphasization on protecting of the trees and planting new trees. And there's been actually some trees being planted, but now a lot of trees are planted that are foreign to the Maasai culture. Maybe they are from Asia, Australia, and other countries. So most of the trees you find in tree nurseries in Kenya are exotic species. So this will lose the connection with the people and the culture, and it's something that I'll not prefer. I'll not like. And I really do promote planting for the Maasai and Maasai areas of indigenous species because of the connection with the culture, and because there are so many species of the trees that are really enormously potential to give good incomes. Yeah. That so many of the indigenous trees species from the Maasai, they have better timber. There are those with better timber that is resistant to termite attacks. Harder timber when it comes to those with a harder like sticks. Right now, when you're a farmer in Kenya, for example, you might a lot of the tools like a djembe, a hoe, and others you buy from a foreign country, from China. You buy like the metal, and then locally you make the stick yourself, or you buy the stick from the store. And the store-bought sticks are quite bad quality and a lot from exotic species. But from the Maasai, there are really interesting trees that can be planted for these reasons. There are many trees for malaria, for herbs, for stomach diseases, for longevity, for detoxification of the body. So there are very many trees that has had a very important and central role in the culture, and that can be implemented in the modernized way. And I would say for the Maasais and Samburus, for the last 100 years, they have evolved in the culture, bringing in westernized things and improving aspects of the culture in some aspects like dressing and beads and other things. And it would be beautiful to see that other things can also be done in the same way, like the trees and the environment and the resource they have. Yeah. And there are many trees that can be planted for that will give food for the goats and sheep, and food for the cows, especially during drought times, and improve the production and health and economy of that life. Because for the Maasai to stop having animals, the Maasai need to stop being Maasai, and that would be very sad, and that would also be very difficult and a struggle for so many people. So it would be interesting to see that keeping cows and animals can be kept alive, but in an improved way, in a way more sustained and in connection with the environment, the land. So, and nowadays, most Maasai, they do own their own land in some form. Either they have already decided in a group ranch where they will stay and have the land, or they even have the title deed ownership of the land directly. So there is this opportunity now actually to plant trees and plant them well. Yeah. And yeah, so there's species that really give really good timber, really good timber for construction, fencing, furniture, all this. In this 200 species of trees, yeah, there are those who are really, really, really beautiful and interesting. So this is my work now. I've come some steps. I've learned what I want to do. I'm now working in Sweden to get more money to finance now more of these ideas. And I really want to promote any Maasai that is listening to these videos to get the idea of the importance of the trees and the opportunity of the trees, and to focus more and have a more balanced focus, not to stop focusing on animals, but to start focusing more on the trees that will support animals. And there is some trees that are very, very easy to grow, where you don't need actually even watering, you don't need much maintenance, you just need digging, and you need the manure from that all the Maasai actually have plenty of in the compounds, and you need to collect the seeds, and you need to know some other small things, and then you can plant many trees. And for those who listen who might not be from Kenya or Africa, and might not come from the Maasai community, there is, through Better Globe, there is an opportunity for others, foreigners, to take part of massive tree planting projects in Kenya, and for the one who take part as an investor to actually be able to contribute to the fantastic opportunities the trees have for the local people, for the wealth creation it has, for the stabilization of the land, environment, climate, rain, but also to be able to get it as an investment opportunity, to see that it's something that will also benefit everyone, even themselves, even yourself in the future, as trees are not only beneficial for the environment, they have enormous long-term potential for good economy too, to bring, yeah. So hope you learned something new. Talk to you next time.